Hi everyone, this is a follow-on video to my Ribble CGR ALE review. It's now gone back to Ribble, and I've just taken delivery of an SLE Endurance Pro, and I mean, I will be doing a video hopefully in the next week or so. It's basically their flagship electric road bike. It's got full Ultegra Di2. Full carbon frame, full carbon finishing kit, carbon wheels, the whole shebang. It's about £5 and I'm really looking forward to taking it for a ride. In fact, I have got, if this weather kind of settles down a little bit, I mean, it's absolutely chucking it down at the moment, but if the weather settles down a little bit, I am hoping to do a 200k ride over the Christmas period. I mean, whether that actually happen or not, I don't know. I might just end up doing a Fondo or something, but I'm going to try and do a full-on 200-kilometre ride around Devon and Cornwall with about 10 or 12,000 feet of elevation. So yeah, watch your space, folks. Anyway, the purpose of today's video is I did promise I would do some heart rate monitor comparisons, and what I've done is I've done 3 rides. Each ride follows the exact same route. It's 18.5 miles with about 2,000 feet of elevation. So what I did the ride on the Ribble CGR ALE, and I also did the ride on my own personal e-bike, which is a Vitus Mach urban hybrid bike, which uses a Shimano Steps E6100 motor, which is a mid-drive motor. So it's got very different performance characteristics to the Ribble. Now, on the Ribble, I did half of the ride in eco mode in the lowest power setting, and I did the second half of the ride in full power setting. It's quite, the heart data is quite interesting actually. I am 17.5 stone. I'm 50 years old, or 51 years old. I got back into cycling 3 years ago, having had a bit of a health scare in my 40s. Basically, I was told by my doctor that I had to sort myself out. I was obese. I was over probably 21 stone, 42-inch waist. I'm now 17.5 stone with a 36, 38-inch waist. So I've still got a bit of weight to lose. Carbohydrates, unfortunately, I eat too much pizza. I eat too much toast. That's a different story anyway. That's another video. So anyway, on the third ride, I rode it on a regular road bike, or a flat bar road bike, one I built. It's a Ridley crossbow CX frame, which I've built up using Mavic wheel set, Shimano crank, Sunrace cassette, Elemnt 40 with SRAM 10-speed trigger shifters. So that bike weighs about 11 kilos, 10.5, 11 kilos. The Ribble weighs in at about 13.4 kilos, and the Vitus Mach E weighs in at 19.2 kilos. So, but yeah, anyway, we've got some really interesting data. And what I've done is I've taken some screenshots rather than go through the, rather than actually go through all the my Strava pages and wait for loading and stuff. Well, first of all, we're going to go on to the Ribble CGR ALE. Sorry, you have to bear with me a second. Right, here we go. So yeah, 18.49 miles, 1 hours 20 minutes, 2,011 feet of elevation, relative effort 58. Now I believe so yeah, we had an average of 13.8 miles an hour, and the wind direction was from the north. Now if we go back to the Shimano Steps e-bike, so again we've got the exactly the same route. Relative effort 29. Now I only used eco mode in this bike. I didn't go beyond eco mode. All I did was I put it in the lowest power setting and I kept it there. And that's how I use the bike. I use it in the lowest power setting. It just takes the edge off the hills basically. My average speed was 14.6 miles an hour, so 0.8 miles an hour faster over the ride. Max was about the same, slightly faster obviously. Wind direction north-northwest, so similar wind direction. And finally, here we go. Right, this is the This is a figure for my regular hybrid bike. I haven't actually. I've still got my old Doors Galaxy down on that one, but you know, weight wise, there's not an awful lot in it. So yeah, this bike, yeah, well, I did actually weigh. It's 11.2 kilos. Same distance. The elevation come up as slightly less for some reason, but there's always a little bit of some inconsistency, shall we say, with the data when I use a Wahoo Elemnt Bolt. So, but yeah. So anyway, relative effort 60. So that's only 2 more than the Ribble CGR ALE. 12.8 miles an hour average. So that's a mile an hour down on the Ribble, and a 34.9 max. And again, on this particular ride, the wind direction was from the west. So that may have impacted. I know I had the wind behind me on some segments, and I know it was against me on others, but it was a fairly light wind anyway on that particular day. So more interestingly, if we go over to the heart rate data, which is right, okay, right, we'll start for the Ribble. Now, you know, I don't consider myself to be like a real. I'm not a hardcore athlete. You know, I got back into cycling 3 years ago primarily to lose weight and get fit. I've always loved cycling. I was a keen cyclist as a young man until I discovered motorbikes and cars, and that was it in boot, alcohol and other things. You know, I kind of lost the plot a little bit. I lost my way in life, and it's only really in the last 3 years I've really rediscovered cycling through e-bikes, and now I ride a regular bike, and I ride a mix of regular bike and e-bike. But anyway, so yeah, as we can see, now this is the Ribble CGR ALE data. Yeah, I spent 9.1% of the ride in endurance, 66.5% of the ride at moderate, 112 to 148, and tempo was 24.4%. So yeah, you know, I burnt a few calories. I think my max heart rate got up to about 160 on one particular climb. So I was still putting in a fair effort. I still sweated a lot. I felt like I had a bloody good workout at the end of it. I did use the Ribble in Eco for the first half and full power mode for the second half. A little bit on that later on. Anyway, right, let's go on to this one, which I believe is now. Here we go. This is the Vitus Mach E, which uses the Shimano Steps motor. Now again, I used it in eco mode for the entire ride, so I didn't at any stage during the ride I did not go above eco mode. Whereas with the Ribble, after about sort of 8 or 9 miles, I switched up to max power. In fact, I think it was about 9 or 10 miles, but I did sort of 50-50. But as you can see, a massive difference. Now, like I said, the characteristics of the Shimano Steps E6100 motor are very different than the X35 ebikemotion. The bike's also quite a lot heavier. I mean, out of the box, that bike weighs, I mean, my Vitus, when I first got it and I weighed it out of the box with the pedals on, I think it came in at about 17.8 kilos, which now I've added a rack and mud guards and stuff because I use it, obviously I'm using it all through the winter. It comes in about 19.2 kilos, so it's about 6 kilos, just shy of 6 kilos heavier than the Ribble. But yeah, as we can see, I spent 18.6% in endurance, 79.3% in moderate, and 2% in tempo. Right, yeah, right, here we are on the regular bike ride. So interestingly, my relative effort was 60, so I was only 2 points higher than the ride on the Ribble CGR ALE. Bearing in mind, I rode the Ribble on eco for half of the ride, and I used it in full power for the other half of the ride. So, and interestingly here we have 75.6% in moderate, 15.1% in tempo. Now, if we go back to the Ribble, which is here, on a Ribble I actually spent 24.4% in tempo, which is quite interesting. So yeah, very interesting indeed. And after I'd ridden the Ribble, I felt like I had a bloody good workout, in fairness. But yeah, so obviously my average speed was down somewhat. It was down a mile an hour over the Ribble. Wind direction was slightly different as well. So obviously that does make a difference. Moderate, very light to moderate wind that particular day. Right, let's look at some more data. Right, hopefully you guys can see this. Right, so the interesting one is, right, here we go. Right, yeah, we got Castle Motors to Seaton Cafe Bridge. You know, so that's a 4.23 mile segment, minus 0.5%. It's actually quite a lumpy little route. I mean, it's typical Cornish. You know, it's a typical Cornish flat. It's not actually flat. You know, it's like it looks kind of flat when you look at it on the profile, but then when you look at it, actually look at the segment, it's up and down like a zigzag. It's up and down like a yo-yo. There's little ramps all over the place, up, down, up, down, up, down. Little bit of flat, little bit of down, little bit of up, little bit of down. The segment which is probably the flattest is this one here, which is Hessenford to Seaton, which kind of comes in within this segment here. And again, it's smooth tarmac. And again, I think what we got is a power output 166 watts. I mean, my average speed on this one here, was 17.1 miles an hour. So for most of that segment, I was above the 15.5 mile an hour cutoff limit, and my BPM was 140. And this one here, 149. Now the interesting segment, the sort of the pig of a climb on it is, right, yeah, we got this one here. That's kind of, yeah, it goes uphill, then it goes sort of straight and downhill. But this one here, this climb from down Derry. So this is average gradient of 9.3% over 0.6 of a mile with 325 feet of elevation. And I know on that particular segment there are ramps of approaching sort of 18%. This is quite a climb. It drags on for a little bit. So my BPM got up to 158 on that particular climb. Right, so on the regular bike, this is my Ridley crossbow. This is a bike without a motor on it. Right, okay. So we were actually a little bit slower on that segment, 16.4 miles an hour. And my BPM was slightly lower as well, 139 BPM. Obviously, like I said, I haven't got a power. It's not very scientific. I haven't got a power meter. I felt like I was putting in a fair old effort, but you know, there you go. And on the Hessenford to Seaton segment, again, I was about 10 seconds slower, and my BPM was, so it was 149 on the Ribble, and it was 145 on the regular bike. But again, obviously when I was on the Ribble, I was riding above the speed limit, you know, above the e-assist cutoff point. Now on the climb, quite a lot of difference on the climb, and I'll be honest with you, I hit that climb, I went into one of the really low gears, and I just kind of sat there and span away. I didn't really put my back into it. My best time on that climb on a regular bike is, I think, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. That's my best. That's on a carbon fibre road bike. That's my best time on that climb on a regular bike is 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I mean, I did it on 7:51 that day, so I mean it was quite slow for me really. But my BPM was 147. If we go back to the Ribble, for that particular climb, I did it in 6:02. So still 30 odd seconds slower than my best time on a regular bike. But my BPM was up to 158. Now, if we move over to the Vitus, now this just goes to show the difference between a mid-drive motor like the Shimano Steps E6100. And bearing in mind, I only used the Steps motor in eco mode. I also used the Ribble in eco mode for that particular climb. So on that particular climb, I kept it in eco mode all the way through on the Ribble. I didn't go above eco mode. And the same applies to the Vitus Mach E. I did not go above eco mode for the whole ride. So we go on to the Castle Motors to Seaton Cafe Bridge segment. I'm actually at 17.5 miles an hour average speed with 130 BPM. If we go back over here, on this one, I was at 17.1 with 140 BPM. And what I put that down to is, like I said, this particular segment, although it looks fairly flat on Strava, there are quite a few short little steep ramps. And of course, you know, your speed drops down, the e-assist kicks in, and the Shimano Steps motor is fantastic. It really is. There's no need to go in anything above eco mode on it, really, unless you've got a dodgy knee or something, or you're recovering after an illness or an injury. And then we go to the Hessenford to Seaton segment. I was at 6:57 on the Vitus Mach E, 18.5 average, 137 BPM. And we go over to that one. I was 6:49, 18.8 average, 149 BPM. So again, on the Ribble, slightly higher average speed, slightly more in the way of cardiac output. And then if we go back to the regular bike, I was at 145 BPM, so 18.3 average. So 145 on the regular bike, 149 on the Ribble, and 137 on the Shimano Steps Vitus Mach E. This is the interesting one. Where are we? Climb from Downderry, 4 minutes and 20. I mean, that is just ridiculous. When I was going up there in eco mode, I felt like bloody Chris Froome. I mean, like, you know, 144 BPM on that one. Did it in 4 minutes 20 in eco mode. 6 minutes and 2, 158 BPM. And 7 minutes and 51, 147 BPM. So yeah, what we can see here, of course, is the Vitus Mach E is it's an amazing bit of kit. But so is the Ribble. You know, I think the Ribble, you know, from a training perspective, I think the Ribble is an absolutely fantastic bike, because it's very strange going up that climb. That it's a pig of a hill, really. And I mean, like I said, I'm 17.5 stone. I'm not one of these racing snakes that weigh 70 kilos. You know what I mean? I mean, I go out riding with guys that are lightweight, and I have to, on a regular bike, and I have to work like hell to stay with them sometimes. You know what I mean? And you know, almost blow a gasket, like, you know. I could probably still drop 1.5 stone or so. I am working on that. I'm thinking about keto diets and all that kind of stuff. But so yeah, anyway, there you have it. I mean, I'm just trying to see what other data we've got here, which I can extrapolate. This is the actual route. So as you can see, it's fairly lumpy. There's just little bumps and lumps, and you know, that's a big climb, and there's a descent, and there's a climb, and there's a descent, there's a climb, there's a descent, there's a climb. You know, it's pretty well much typical ride around Cornwall. In fact, this bit here is quite unusual. Most of my rides are sort of zigzag like that around Cornwall. So yeah, we've got that there. But yeah, so quite interesting, really. Oh, and yeah, we did take a little bit of data from the ebikemotion app. This is the app that actually comes with the so when you buy any bike that's got an X35 ebikemotion system fitted, whether that's a Ribble or the Endurance or an All Bay again, you know, it collects data. Unfortunately, I did find I mean, that's the total mileage this bike's covered. That is the percentage of battery power that was consumed during that ride. So a 20-mile ride, or an 18.5-mile ride with 2,000 feet of elevation. The assist was on constantly. It was on, like I said, it was on eco mode for the first half of the ride and full power mode for the second half of the ride, and I consumed 39% of the battery power. That cadence date is well off. I've actually just gone and bought a cadence sensor, actually, but that cadence date is well off. And I think the heart rate data is probably, yeah, that's fairly accurate, you know. But it's a good app, actually. You know, you can change the characteristics of the different assist levels and stuff. I'm going to be experimenting a bit more with that when I get the Endurance SLE Pro unboxed late this week. I've actually got it. It's down in the shed. Unfortunately, I've been very busy. The weather's been crap, and I haven't got around to it yet, but I'm looking forward to that, and I will do an unboxing video of the Ribble Endurance SLE Pro. I've had a little peek at it, and it looks bloody gorgeous. It weighs nothing. I mean, I think it weighs about 11 kilos or something like that. So I'm looking forward to getting out on that one and giving that one a try. So yeah, anyway, that wraps it up for today, folks. Just a quick video. Well, not so quick, because I do tend to waffle on a little bit, but so yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these videos, I'm going to be doing quite a few. I'm going to do a full review of the Vitus Mach E as well, which I think is a cracking bike. And I'm also going to be showing you my Ridley CX bike, which is something I built from scratch. I had some bits knocking about. I bought a frame set, bought some Mavic wheels, some nice, good heavy duty Mavic wheels. You know, you know, I'll save that for another video. Yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.